Okay, one of the next steps we're going to do is we're going to open up our i3D with our Notepad++. I do not want you to open it up with Giant Editor yet. Inside of here, we will notice that the program was exported with version 9.0.2 when it initially was created, so a while ago. I want to make sure that you haven't messed this up and it says 10. If it says like 10.3, you opened up it in GE and broke everything. Possibly, because there's going to be stuff in here that it can't find. Now, you can see what I did for FS19 when I converted this thing is I actually just copied the files out of FS22 and pasted them into my FS19 textures. That way I could still use wheels, and I think I used like some turn signals or something like that. But it required those textures to be in the mod. Well, they are in my folder. This means up one folder. This means up two folders. This is looking in my mods folder for the texture pack that I created for these. The texture pack is its own separate mod, so it had to go up two folders. If you don't understand how this works, this is up one folder when you see ... So it's looking for Universal Dirt Cab from the i3D file. This is not from the mod disk. So in this i3D file, it needs to go up one folder. And then it needs to dive back into, what was the texture? Imported. So we go into imported, and I'm not going to dig through all the textures, but I guarantee it's probably in here somewhere or shared. But you want to make sure that all of these textures are in there. If you start getting texture errors on your log, you need to find out what the name is, open it up with this text editor, and try to search your computer for that file and put the proper location in. Once you have all this lined up, you can go ahead and hit save on this file. Then we can proceed to open this up with FS25's editor, which is Giant Engine 10. When you got it open in Giant Editor 10, you want to make sure you can view your console. This little window down here is super important for this conversion process. Okay, if you can't view it, if you don't see it, come up to window and you're going to find console and it'll pop up down here. If not, I like to move it to the bottom just so I can keep track of what's going on. And as we look at it, we can see that most of the errors that it's going to tell us here have to do with a light of some sort. So there's a light on my steering wheel, there's a light on my green fuel, my blinker, some other stuff here. Now these are all going to be an issue, right? We got to fix those. But for the time being, I want you to focus on any errors that do not have any relation to lights or material issues. We will cover that, I promise you. But for right now, let's get this bad boy working in game. And even with it purple and all these checkers on it, we'll still get it working in game and then worry about the materials next. So let's focus on solving some of these issues like the root fill node for fuel. And the simplest way I've found to do this, after doing it over and over and over and over again, is we need to go into our data. And from there, let me zoom in so you guys can see a little bit bigger. We're going to go to vehicles and we're going to go to Lizard brand. Once you found Lizard, open it up and we're going to go to the pickup 2017 and find the i3D file. We're just going to import it in. And now that we got this bad boy in here, I want you to open it up using these little plus and minus buttons here. And we are looking for exact fill root node fuel. It's going to be this little box, right? And if we move this pickup over, you can see where that box resides in this guy because this aircraft puller is huge. We can see that it pretty much fills up the back of the truck right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Control X to cut, and then I'm going to find my main cube, and I'm just going to paste this inside of my main component. If you don't know what a component is, you need to go watch my videos. Okay, now that that bad boy's in there, the next thing we can do is look at this pickup component while it's here. You'll notice it has a rigged body type. And it is set to a dynamic compound collision, and it has a preset of a vehicle. We need to do the identical thing. I'm going to get rid of these lights so it's not so overwhelming for you guys. We need to do the identical thing to our main component, and I also actually have some dynamic suspension here. So we need to do it to both of them. Coming up here to the main component, running over to the attributes tab, rigged body, I'm going to come here and I'm going to click component. And from here under preset, I'm going to choose vehicle. Okay, that's fixed 100%. For the main component, this part is usually 9 times out of 10, actually 10 out of 10, is going to be non-renderable. You can see if I bring the renderable part back, you can see this little like square block that sits across there. We want that to be non-renderable. And then I'm going to go to my dynamic suspension that I've created because it also is a component. And I'm going to do the same thing there. I'm just going to make sure that dynamic, compound, and collision is all checked. And I'm going to go to vehicle. After I have that installed, I'm going to double check, make sure it's non-renderable. To continue on with this, we need to identify all the collisions in the mod. So this could be a little difficult, but you need to go through and peek into every single folder you can, because there's going to be collisions possibly somewhere. I don't know on this mod, actually. There might not be. A lot of times you can come up to search and just put in coal. And that's cut there. Okay, so the lower body has collisions. I'm going to get rid of this truck so it stops clouding up our thing. The lower body has some collisions here, and it has a cube, and it has another cube. So it's both sides. It's for the wheels. So with one of them selected, we're going to go to the top one right here. We want to make sure that we come in here and set the preset, because it is already a compound child and collision. It is not going to be a component. Compound. It's a child. Okay, and then we're going to come here to vehicle and set the preset to vehicle. We're going to do the exact same thing for the other one. Okay, after you got that, you really need to double check and make sure there's no other collisions in this, otherwise they just won't work. Okay, depending on the mod you're working on, just hit expand all and just do a very quick glance through everything to make sure that there are no extra collisions that are hidden in anywhere inside of the mod. You find them, you need to do the same step. Keep in mind, you only have usually one, sometimes two, sometimes three components, but they usually have childs underneath them. So if your scenograph has this a ton of crap here, you're wrong. Okay, everything needs to live underneath the components for vehicles. Next thing you're going to want to make sure you do is locate the tension belt activator. This is for your tension belts, so the tension belts will work on anything inside of that mod. And I do have one inside of this aircraft puller. I am going to just collapse everything really fast to make this a little bit easier to look for it. I do believe it's under tension belts right there. And I have an activator, okay? But I also have an activator for this pickup, and we need to ensure that they match as far as it comes to the belt activation trigger. Because if we come up to rigged body and we check, it's a cinematic, compound, player trigger, collision, and a trigger. So we need to come up to belt activator and recheck all of those things. So compound, player what was the last one? Was it vehicle trigger? Sorry, my brain popped. Nope, it's just player trigger. So just player trigger for that guy. I think I just left this in there when I very first made this mod, and it's not actually activated in the XML because we didn't get this error when we loaded up in game. And you will, if you forget to do this step, you will get reminded by the game that, hey, you suck, this needs to be fixed. Once you get all these steps done and you for sure know that you have every single material that this i3D file is looking for is properly file pathed, you can hit save. If you don't have everything properly file path, it will break the original connection that it had with it. And you shouldn't even be doing most of these steps in i3D until that section is covered. And you make sure you have all the texture. You don't get any texture warnings down here in the console when you loaded up the i3D the first time. If you're at that point, go ahead and hit save, and we're going to open up the XML of this mod. So if we just take a peek back at our mod disk and we remember that our mod is loaded through the store items, it's going to be under XML vehicle 1. Yours is going to be different. I almost guarantee it. When we come in here, we're going to go to our XML folder, and looky right there, there is our vehicle file. Let's open that up with Notepad++. Once we're open here, you want to scroll down the line, and the same thing as the prior videos. Anytime you see a file path being reached for, such as the store image or the i3D here, or sounds, you want to ensure that those sounds actually still exist. Such as right here, this vehicle lizard pickup 1986 sounds. This file does not exist in FS25. So this is going to cause, at least I don't think it does. Let's check. So I'm in my FS25 folder. I'm going to go to data. I'm going to go to vehicles. Oh, look at my screen. It's overwhelming. I'm going to try to find lizard. Once I find lizard, I want to double check and see if what I'm trying to convert that was in FS22 is also in FS25. It is not here. There's a multi-purpose truck. There's a pickup 2017. There's all this other stuff, but there is not the 1986 pickup, which I really like that one. I don't know why they just bring it over. They'd have so many vehicles if they'd stop ditching vehicles each iteration of the damn game. I get the branded stuff, but the stuff you guys made, come on, keep it. All right, because this isn't here and this file path is going to be wrong, for the time being, I recommend find a similar mod, vehicle, piece of equipment, whatever the case may be that has sounds that you want. And we're going to open that up inside of Notepad++. Go down to the exact same location that you would be finding these sounds. And I want you to copy this whole line here, copy, and paste it in. Now, this could be different. Okay, this whole aircraft puller is going to sound like a truck. It's not really desired, but right now this is eliminating an error. After this, I recommend you play around with some of the in-game vehicles. Be like, wow, I really like how that one sounds. Open that vehicle's XML file, and it will have a sound directory as well that you can copy and paste as long as it has the $ and data. This means it's reaching into the game. But if you verify that this sound path exists, your mod will have sounds. Next section you're going to be taking a peek at is the wheels. Now, wheels could look like a lot of different things. I'm going to zoom way out and show you. This is wheels that I already have on the model. Most of the in-game stuff and some very complicated mods are going to have custom XMLs designed up for their wheels. And you can see this inside of the pickup 2017. You can see right here that it is calling for, remember that file path thing, always check your file paths. It's calling for this type of tire, and inside of that tire, it has all these attributes that have to do with the wheels. Now, the way that this is all configured up, it's configured up so it will work with this truck. A lot of Giant's wheels in this game are set up to be used on several different types of vehicles and whatnot. So if it looks crazy like this, you're going to have a little bit more issues. What I recommend doing at that time, if you have tons of custom wheels, I recommend doing the exact same thing we did with the Lewis scripts in the first video. And that is to comment them out for the time being and just use a stock version of it. And what I mean by that is if we copy from right here where it says configuration, right? Just a singular configuration. We're leaving the wheel configurations. We want this whole single configuration. I'm going to zoom in so you understand this. There are wheel configurations and there are wheel configuration. Singular. It means we can have multiple in here. Okay, I'm just going to copy this whole thing, and then I would highlight my wheels in here. Boop. And I would paste my own configuration in. Preferably, if you're wanting to fix your wheels in the future, you'll probably put your own configuration in, right? So you'll have your very first one that you're doing. And if we took that very first one and just blocked the comment out, those wheels are not going to be called now. Now they're going to be called in through here. Even though these XML locations, the drive node and all this stuff does not match up, from that point, you would come into here, back and re-import in that pickup, peel its wheels off of it. This might be a little bit more advanced for a lot of you. If it's way over your head, I have so many tutorials that are showing the basic stuff. You would just copy this whole wheel section into your wheels, make a new wheel folder here. This is totally going to mess up all this iteration, but you can go through and manually place these. Okay, make sure you delete this front rotor part because that's going to show up weird in there. But you can manually place these. That's a little bit more detailed. I'll do a video in the future on properly doing all these wheels, but for the time being, there is a little side thing you can do, to temporarily fix your wheels while you work on getting them into Blender and convert it over, which is a whole 20-minute video on its own. So for the time being, I'm just gonna pull this guy back out of here because my wheels were great. I mean, they don't look pretty right now, but I can easily fix that. So inside my XML, I don't need it. I was just showing it to you because I do this when I'm doing very basic trucks and stuff like that. Like my last couple converts I had actually just used those wheels because there's a lot to do as far as getting it fully working. So I'm going to uncomment this because I just did that for the sake of the tutorial. And these guys should line up We didn't get any errors in FS22, so we won't get any errors here. We know that all of the index paths are solid. If you got errors in 22, you're going to have those errors here too. You may also have some shared lights under your lights section. It'll have the code shared. It'll look very similar to what you see on the screen right now. It'll look like this, and you'll see another file name here. You need to make sure that this file name exists in FS25. This is from FS22. Luckily enough, I believe, we'll go check. I think these are the round heli lights. We're going to go to my lights section, go to my shared lights. Oh, I thought I had some in here. Is it on the top right there? Let me locate them. No, so I'm not actually using any shared lights in this that we need to fix. That's good. That's super good. Makes my life a lot easier. Listen, I'm going to leave this part in here just because I need you to understand this game is broke in a lot of different ways. Like right now, I cannot control inside of the editor to finish this stupid tutorial because every time I click my left mouse button, it frickin' moves forward like this. Oh my gosh, Giants. Okay, moving on to the tutorial. Let me fix this crap. I literally just had to close down the program and reopen it up. Okay, now after going and beating the neighbor's chicken to relieve my frustration with this damn editor, let's move on. Now, as of right now, nothing has changed in this section of the lights. States, the real lights, nothing's changed there. Now, this has changed, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to show you a little backhanded trick because I frankly don't want to convert lights. I will make lights new the proper way, but I'm not going to convert these lights. I'm not even going to make a video on converting these lights because it's kind of complicated and I haven't found a UV editor that is free that you can use yet to move these UVs around. If you have one you have found and you're using that isn't the old version, please let me know so I can share it with everybody else. But that being said, from default lights all the way to turn signals, in the new way that this is done, it is gone. And if we take a peek at the pickup 2017, we're going to come right down here and you'll notice it does not have a real, or it does not have a default light. And let's go split screen here so you can see both. Okay, it has replaced everything here on the right from default lights to brake lights to turn lights with this static light compounds. And how this works is it is all one mesh. So the lights and stuff like that, they're the brake lights, the turn signals, all this stuff are all one mesh. And inside Blender, you move the UVs to a certain location. I will do my very damnedest to get that picture and put it up on the screen right now to show you how to do that. But that is how you activate the lights. I will do my very best to create a whole video on doing lights because that's a 20-minute video as well. For the method I'm going to show you today, please check down in the pinned comment when I make a new video on how to do static lights from a scratch model. I will put the link to the video down there. For the time being in this tutorial, I'm going to show you the backdoor trick that I actually learned from another YouTube channel. Even though they got it wrong with how it works, their method worked with my lights. On this channel, FS Play, he does a bunch of silent converting videos, but he goes through to instantly replace the shader for results. But there's a problem with this. This isn't going to work for everything because all it does is transfer over the specular data and the normal data. But if you have any metal, chrome, or anything else that was attached to the main body that was color selectable, this method is not going to work for you. You're going to lose all that detail and color for the metal, rubber, anything else that is on that model. But it does work for lights. Quite well, actually. And I would like to give proper credit because that channel, unless he's one of these modding teams, did not create this shader. But on that video, he provides a shader. I'm assuming it's not his, so I'll provide a link as well here. I'd like to give credit to Lambo project made the shader work, and then Razor modding team for the skinning error. So thank you guys very much for your hard work. This shader works for lights like a champion. For anything you're converting from FS22 to FS25, this works. At the time of recording this, I want to say, okay, because this could break in the future. And if it breaks in the future, like I said, check the pinned comment down below and I'll have an updated video. But now I'm just going to copy this shader into my mods folder of our aircraft puller. I'm going to create a little folder here, call it shaders. In there, I will paste that vehicle shader. And now I'm going to open up our aircraft puller in the i3D using Giants Editor 10. Once we get in here, we'll see all these light issues and errors and stuff like that. We're going to want to find those lights individually, and we're going to make some changes, going through them one by one. On my steering admissive, there's an issue. So I'm going to go to convert, and then I'm going to find my steering wheel. I have 2 steering wheels in here for some reason. Oh no, I have one. I guess I have a fake one. Sometimes I get lazy at modding. Who doesn't? All right, so under here, I'm going to have an admissive where it says steering wheel light, and we can see that shader selected has more parameters than shown in the editor material panel. And that's these little guys. We can't even see them because they're hidden. What we need to do is I'm going to make my console window a little smaller. I don't need my terrain editing stuff, so I'm actually going to remove that window for right now. And if you don't have your material editing panel popped up right here, come right up to Windows and just pick material editing. That window will pop up. You also are going to need this attributes window. Make sure you activate that right there as well. Now we have the one admissive. If it's the very top layer one, this is going to work beautifully. So I'm just going to replace, because right now it's trying to call the in-game Farming Simulator 25 shader. I'm going to actually just redirect it back to our mod, to that shader that we just pulled over. And that's going to be located under my shader folder. Okay, with this bad boy in here, we can now see that I can actually see what the hell I'm looking at. But there is it's only one color. There's a catch. So now you can see that bad boy. That should be working just fine now. Gonna go through and find another light. Forgot I needed to click the button. So on the shader variation down here, you're gonna go to the shader source and it'll say shader variation. Scroll down and select the static light, and this will turn that into a light. And we need to systematically track down all the others, such as this light right here, wherever you are. Don't know where you're at, but you're here somewhere. Probably the back, the front. Well, it's hard to see it because it is under that shader that it's being used. So we're going to actually remove the shader. Oh, look at that. It popped back up. Look at that. So the FS25 shader will make your 3D models from FS22, if they're light related, invisible. So we're just going to hit replace. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to come through and change it to static light. Now with that done the way it is, we should be able to, while looking at it, come down, and where it says light control, we can click that button here, and we're just going to press 1, and we can see that those accurately light up. So I'm going to go back. I don't know if that directly affects anything, but this is a new option, because before it was just hard coded into it. So it's a new option. So let's continue on doing the same thing to the rest of our static light. Well, that just reverted back. So I'm assuming actually that we don't need to do that, because when I clicked off of it, it reverted back. Look, I'm learning something with you. Okay, so next we're going to do the red light. Any shader that's a light that you're converting that reaches back into the in-game shader, you're going to need to do this same method over and over and over again, sirs. So I'm going to find them all. Let's do one more. Do one more. Does this one call for a light? Nope. Does this one call for a light? This one is a static light, so we need to replace that. Very time consuming. All right, so those are replaced. Static light variation, and then just keep going on. I believe those light up. Nope. I'm having difficulty finding all of the ones that I need to change. So what I'm going to do is do a quick little come down here to my console and highlight the model in question right here, which is static light shader. We're going to go like this, do a quick little search. Nothing popped up. So this has to do with the materials. I think one of the best ways to figure out if you got them all is just hit save and then reload the file. May have to do, nope, that worked. So now we just have a couple here. Still saying on the steering wheel admissive that I'm having issues, and still having issues on my front light 2. So this is the fun part. Absolutely, you're gonna have to go through and just look over and over again, making sure that you didn't miss anything that had the static light variation on it. Make sure it goes to the missed one right there for my red. I didn't click static light variation. I think those are lights. I think those are just glass. And then we're going to go to the next one. Just ensuring that all of these are pointing to where we want. I'm going to dig around a little bit more, and then we'll continue on. So this is going to be the first issue you start to run into with this shader method, is it didn't pull in the data to make these rear lights look like rear lights. So I'm going to have to select them manually, come up to the color palette here and try to adjust their color to match the red that I want. And then under the material panel, oh, I cannot remember what number it is. Was it like 32? Can't remember exactly what number that is. I mean, that's good enough. So 22 gives us the reflector for right now. There's another one on here. You can just cycle through these, to be honest with you. Can't 100% recall all the... You can go like this, grab it, and look for the one particular that looks like a light. Could be lines. And that was close. Oh, that's really good right there. That's good enough. So that's the light that I'm going to go with. That was under 28, and I kind of went with a 0.48 on the light. But now those lights should actually look like real lights. Let's go look at my front lights and see what they look like. So those look like they went just jet black. All right, so we're going to come up to color control for this guy. Hold on. Is there multiple? Just one. Having an issue here where it loaded in a Beto map that made it a weird color. So this is extra long process for me because I literally have so much. See, so I have a static overhead light right here that has an issue that I have to recorrect. This stuff is buried in here. So, and you're gonna have the exact same problems. I almost guarantee it. I'm just gonna keep recording so you can kind of see I'm coming through. I selected static light on that. I'm gonna go through everything else. I got numbers. Do these have lights? Nope. I have a rev limit that turned into light. Nope. Now this is a static light. My fuel tree that I have, can't really see it. So I need to go through and assign that shader as well. The shader that I have installed in the mod. Go through there and make sure that I'm doing the exact same thing for all of these. Oh, so many of them. I'll be right back. And normally there would be a faster way to do this, but opening up the i3D and editing the path of the FS25 shader to reflect this shader will also affect all the models. So unfortunately with the lights, we have to manually do this. I tell you what, this is a hell of a lot better than having to pull out each one of these lights into Blender and actually fix them the right way. That's why you probably won't see a whole lot of that from me unless I'm making something new, because this is holy processing. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? And now we know why it's taken me almost a month to make this darn tutorial, because there's so much to do. There really is. And eventually, you want to be able to close down your mod after you've hit save, of course. Open it back up with Giants Editor to clear your log and any other bullcrap that happens. And we look at our console after doing everything I just told you to do, and look at all those errors gone. Okay, I just want to give a shout out back to these guys again, because I am not one to take credit for this. Obviously, they made the path, okay? I just made the video. Now that I have everything beautiful in here, I installed a light while I was working, because working in the dark, right? It absolutely bonkers, and I'm like squinting at my computer screen. I'm going to delete that right now, ensuring that there's nothing else in the scenograph but the two components, okay? They could be named whatever, but as long as they're rigid body and dynamic, and if you're working with just like a single truck, you know, you're just going to have one component. Or if you're working with a trailer, you're just going to have one component. But after I get all that stuff done, I'm going to hit save. And the next phase is some testing. Make sure we are completely error-free, and then we will focus on the textures. I'm going to keep scrolling on down the line here, because we need to ensure the last half of this XML before we do some testing. I got a little bit ahead of myself there. Is all good up to par. And currently in-game, this beacon is still there, right? I don't think they made any changes to the beacons, but this beacon is still there with this file path, so I'm going to leave it. Okay, we do know that these sounds do not work anymore. So we need to just block that comment for right now until we found a replacement sound, or automatically, I do believe that this XML sound file will provide those sounds that we're seeking. And if we leave these in here, it'll just overwrite those sounds. So I'm just going to actually delete them for right now and just delete this whole sounds tag, because I'm already calling the sounds in through the XML. There's no need to have it in here as well. I don't have anything in dashboards to show you. Next, we're going to dive into enterable, and it's asking, is it tabbable? All the entrance and exit nodes. All this stuff was error-free in FS22, so there's no reason we need to go over it now. Mirrors and whatnot. Clearly, I installed mirrors in there. My attacher joints, nothing changed in there. Nothing changed in the collection hoses, I don't believe. Now, we did have a change in our fill units. We need to now tell the game where our exact fill route node is. And that code can be found inside the Pt.2 Inside of here, once you got it open up, and this is the stock one, you're going to scroll until you find fill unit configurations, and we're looking particularly for the fill unit. Inside of there, it has the exact code we need. We need this exact code right here. Okay, we're just going to copy that. I'm going to come into our vehicle under our fill unit, and I'm just going to paste it right in there. Now, it's calling for this node, exact node, but we don't have this yet defined inside of our mod. We can do that one of two ways. We could just come right into here, and we could easily just grab this index path for this fill node right here, and we're going to hit copy on that and then paste it into here. Or option 2 is we can leave that the same, come back into our pickup. We're going to find that XML i3D mapping for that exact one, which would be right here. And we're going to hit copy on it. We're going to come into the bottom of our mod. Hey, that's my alarm. What do you know? Hi there. It's time to stop recording. We're going to come down to the bottom of the mod. Sorry about that interruption. And it came on right when I was talking, so I won't be able to edit that out as easily. And I do have i3D mappings in here. So I'm just going to come down to the very bottom of this to make life simpler. And I'm going to paste in here. But this is not correct. This is not the right node. So we need to make sure we have this node index path here. And we're going to paste that in there. Now that's correct, 100%. One thing that is not going to work right off the bat is any base material configurations, or any design material configurations, which I don't have installed in this one. This is not going to work. This is not going to work anymore. Now it's all off of slots and a different method. If we were to go into the pickup and we could come up here and take a peek how they do color now, they just have a base color configuration, and they use a material slot name, which is referring to whatever we assign it to inside of where you saved at Polar body color. There is a slot name section here. So if we would just wanted to copy this body color and paste it in there, we'd be able to make that color selectable after we pulled it out into Blender and fixed it. Because as of this current moment, it's just purple with all this stuff. Yep, that sucks. So we have to do Blender first before we can properly do this code. For the time being, I'm just going to copy this over into mine, and I'm going to paste it there, but I'm just going to hide it. So it reminds me in the future that I need to do that next once we get everything working and back from Blender. Now at this point, 100%, I'm for sure that this XML is error-free and will work. So I guess it's time to test it. Just a little reminder, if your mod is not in this mod loading screen, you have an issue with your mod disk, not your XML. Now, my current mod I'm working on, the aircraft Polar, is located in miscellaneous because it had a category error in the mod disk video that I worked on and showed you guys. In that video, we actually removed that Lua coding that allows you to make custom categories. But the problem is when we opened up the XML, my lazy butt did not see the category that is listed as airport. For the time being, I'm going to look at the pickup. I'm going to come up to the top of the pickup XML, the pickup 2017, the one we've been using for reference this whole time. And it is located in the category of cars. I'm just going to put ours in the category of cars for right now, because we're not using any custom categories. Now, with my dev commands open like this, I'm going to open up the mod. And we can see that it's still looking for an attach, a truck attach, and a honk. Thought we pulled the honk out, but we clearly glanced over the attach section and missed some of the templates that they used to use for lights, which we can see right here. Because I don't care right now, I'm just going to delete them. If you would like to go through and add a new template in, if you can figure out, I haven't looked and see what the sound templates are yet for FS25, but if you want to add that in, you can just block comment instead. But for the sake of what I'm doing, I'm just going to delete this whole line under these attacher joints. See, these are individual attacher joints here. Just going to delete them. And I believe the honk, where we fix the honk, you little honker. Those are old. I can delete that. Nope, I guess I did not delete the honk. The honk is installed with the sound XML file up at the top that we plugged in. There's a honk in here. So we don't need that. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to come back to our game and just going to back out of here. I didn't purchase it yet. I'm just going to back out and then we're going to come back in. And there we go. All those errors are now gone. We can see where it loaded up our i3D again, but we have one warning, and static lights are not using light control or light shader DS in turn light O. So in the first turn light, 0 means 1 in this game, all right? 1 means 2, 2 means 3, 4 means 5 in a lot of different situations. So let's go look at our turn light left 0. Back into here, turn light left 0, which would be this one, our L cabin blinker. I obviously missed a blinker somewhere. So I'm going to go to my dashboards. I'm just going to double check. Okay, so this blinker is not being called correctly in the variations. When I did this, I obviously missed one because there was like 20 of them. I'm going to come down here and choose from color select to the static light. Okay, and I'm just going to double check these other blinkers. Make sure I didn't miss one. Those are all static lights. They're all using our new shader. That should fix our issue, I do believe. Let's back out of here again, and we're going to reload it. And now this is error-free. Woohoo! Let's buy it. Let's test our lights a little bit. Scroll through the doom. Test our lights. Hit F. Oh yeah. Hit F again. Boom. And how about our backlights? And when we hit on our brakes, do we have blinkers on this guy? I don't think I have actual blinkers. But if we look in here, we should be able to see that my lights that were on the steering wheel. But do you see what it does to, look at the steering wheel, how it's absolutely hideous, right? Those are all textures that the game just automatically assign. And it's okay, we're gonna get to that point. But letting you know, just test like this. Those lights are all working. I'm happy with this. The next test I want you to do is, can you walk through it? Let's see. Oh, I can't. Okay, there is collisions on this because of the route that we did it. If you don't have collisions, go back to that section of working on the Giants editor and stuff, and we're going to fix those collisions all over again. But we can jump around on it and do everything. I would also suggest from this point, oh, do I have a oh, I thought I had passenger script installed. I was like, because it says enter vehicle driver. I was like, what? Did I put that on there? But we're working 100%. We are at the point now, let me think in my head, that we can throw this bad boy into Blender starting in the next video. So